All right, welcome again, everybody. So today we're going to be discussing volunteer software and if volunteer impact is the right software for your organization. So who am I? My name is Micah. I'm the software sales advisor at Better Impact. We work with primarily a lot of nonprofits, but a wide variety of organizations to smaller scale, larger scale size organizations across the world. My focus is in North America, the Western half, and I'm from the Midwest, Kansas City area. I'm now in the Pacific Northwest, and my wife and I, we love it up here. Some of the things we love doing are exploring nature, summertime especially. We love going on national park hikes, big into fitness and nutrition as well. Today, we'll be discussing some of the common problems that many of us are facing among volunteer service teams. And after that brief discussion, I'll do a quick Zoom poll on just kind of checking in on the program evaluation, and then we'll see how everybody's doing there. We'll do a brief touch on some data points on a survey I found interesting on why the right software tools matter. The bulk of today's session will be a high-level overview of volunteer impact. We come from a variety of places, as we've seen, and we all do a lot of different things. But one of the many common problems we're experiencing is too much data entry, and that's probably why many of us are here today. We're maybe using several different tools working with our program. Maybe there's just there's no dedicated tool at all. Maybe like on your website when volunteers are trying to volunteer, you manually input into a spreadsheet, and then you're spending too much time in that spreadsheet, possibly calculating the hours. Uh, Emails are everywhere, and then you're doing all of that. You can't even report on anything. So what are we doing here? We're sinking all this time, and now we don't have any left to engage in our volunteers who are giving our time to us to help advance our mission. Uh, and what we want is the ability to be more efficient. So then that way we can lead and engage our volunteers. And a lot of the times, and we all know what the solution is, a dedicated database, but sometimes it's a little more challenging than that because in order to get that database, you need to have a budget set aside for it. And not only having the budget for it, finding an affordable solution, but convincing the leadership. And then the last little curveball on that is you want to make sure you're looking out for the people you're working with, keeping their data secure in a safe database. And what we hope by the end of this webinar is Volunteer Impact is your all-in-one solution to effectively manage, track your volunteers in a safe and secure database. How do we know if a database is secure? Well, one easy way to tell is to find out if the vendor has an ISO 27001 certification. And what that is it's ISO is the world's best known standard for information security management system practices and means the vendor is respecting all of these practices in this standard. And there's a big difference in terms of having this certificate versus just saying you follow the guidelines, because in that case, you're actually being audited by somebody who's making sure you follow all of these guidelines. So that way the standards are actually being met. Okay, just I know it was a bit quick walkthrough there, but taking all of that in, we're going to go ahead and jump into a Zoom poll here that I will launch here in a second. And as you see, the first question here is just from the initial slide, which problem resonated the most? Too much data entry, too many tools that are disconnected, no time to lead, engage your volunteers, uh, affordable tools, or insufficient security. Let me find that poll here for a sec. Here we go. Should be launching shortly. Okay, I think it's live here, and obviously I'll find out here in a sec once we see some results going in. I'll go to the next question once we get done with the first one. Awesome. I'm seeing some participation already, so that's some good feedback there. Once you get to question two, it's how are you currently managing your volunteers? Are you using spreadsheets, a VMS, or something else. If it's not either of those two, if you want to drop in the chat of what that is, feel free to share. Give you a couple minutes to complete the poll there, and then we'll share the results. The last one is, in your opinion, what's most at risk if a change doesn't occur sooner rather than later? Is it turnover with volunteers, disengagement, or on the staff side, wasted money, damage to the program reputation or the organization, or something else? Okay, I think everybody should be seeing the results here. So, first question, the problem that resonated the most, using too many tools by a landslide. And this is a real common problem for people who meet with me. Most of the time, there's no dedicated database. It's just kind of everywhere. And that's why 50% are saying spreadsheets on there. That's not a surprise to me as well. And the last one makes the most sense to me, having volunteer turnover disengagement, because they're the focus. They're the ones that make your mission possible. So appreciate everybody sharing with me on that. Just another data point I found interesting. It's from G2, which is a software review site that they launched a survey uncovering over 2,000 individuals, just asking a series of questions on job satisfaction and the tool that they're using. And an interesting find was that it was from that survey, a little over half of those uh, employees were unhappy at work because of the tools that they're using. The question was, as you see on here, have you ever become dissatisfied at work due to missing or mismatched software? A little over 50, close to 52% said yes. It just highlights that being provided the right tools to perform the job, it plays a critical role in our job satisfaction. When the right tools are not in place, our level of efficiency and effectiveness decrease, and it's a big factor contributing to happiness in our role. And we need that because otherwise it's not sustainable. And that's why in that same survey, it was found around 1 in 8 employees quit a job due to mismatched software. So the fact that it's a cited reason speaks to just how important it is to outfit the employees with the right tools for the job. Turnover, very disruptive to progress and goal attainment. So let's get you and your team working with the tools that make you feel less frustrated, like over here, and more empowered and productive when you do your job. So that's why we're going to explore volunteer impact and how you can achieve just that. So, going to share my screen on the admin view of volunteer impact. Feel free to give me a thumbs up in the chat if we're seeing what I'm sharing on here. Want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So right now, like I said, this is a view of the admin view. Thank you, Karen. Nice. Yes, thank you, everybody. Glad we're on the same page here. So right off the bat, I know there's a bit to look at. Something I want your eyes on is this status update here. So this is the overview of our program right here. These are our new applicants that apply as volunteers, and then everyone else along through the process. Those who are onboarding are active volunteers, inactive, those who are they're technically active, but they're on a temporary leave, and then an archive status. So something I think I may have forgotten to mention, everybody can have their own admin login, either full access or a limited admin role. And with everyone, they can also have access to our support team and other help articles to assist them along the way. Where I'm first going to share is how volunteers land in here as an applicant. And the common approach is making an online application form that you can place on your website, have it branded. It could look something like this. You can upload your own banner here, change the color scheme so it reflects your website, and you're able to place images, news, text to give an overview of your offerings, where someone can get involved in your program. Optionally put in your socials on here too, Facebook and X. This page here does not require any web developing knowledge whatsoever, because all that's done on the back end is you tick boxes and then you drop in the content. Once it's ready, generate a hyperlink or generate a link and then hyperlink it on your website. So volunteer wants to see opportunities to sign up for, they'll click that, see this landing page, they want to get involved, they'll click fill in an application, and then that will get them to getting started on one, which this can also be a link you can generate as well, so they can just get right to the application form here. It's always going to be branded from the volunteers' views, so the banner, the color schemes, going to fall in line here. There's a policy section where you can drop in policies for volunteers to agree to, even links to documents if needed. The first step for the volunteer, what they're going to do is they're going to make a My Impact page profile. Simply put, that's the volunteers portal. There's an app available for that in the Apple and Android Play Store. And as they make the account, that captures their basic contact information. So once you get to the application, now that's where you can actually ask your other questions. One thing you can add on here too is the general availability, which they can update over time. It just makes it easier to see when someone's generally available to give time to volunteer. And then everything else on here you customize and add in as needed, like these check boxes. You write all this content so that way I can express where I want to get involved in your program. There's descriptions. You can place content in here so I can get a better understanding of what guest services entails on here. And then, yeah, here are all of our questions below. They can be in different kinds of formats, such as short, long text responses, drop down. You customize what these drop down items are to uploading documentation. And most recently in our last update, it's now possible for volunteers to electronically sign documents through the application form too, as assigned documents, a new type of custom field the software offers. Check boxes. And now me as a volunteer, when I submit this application, it's going to capture all of this data automatically, and I'm going to receive an automated email of what my next steps are, that you customize what it is. So I'm not left hanging. Right away, I'm going to know, do I need to complete a background check? Do I need to complete a training, interview? I'll receive that automated email right away that you customize, not only on the volunteer's end, but on your end as well. So as an administrator, you can be chosen if you want to receive an email for new applicants. So you receive the email that prompts you to sign into the back end, which we should be back here now to see who recently applied to the program. The land of this applicant bubble. There's 4 applicants to review. Any of those bubbles, there's numbers on there. It just reflects which volunteers fall in that profile. So now let me review Henry Upshaw here. Here's his information. We see a summary of his contact info. We can choose and place specific like custom fields on the dashboard too, in case there's anything important I want to see right off the bat, like emergency contact information. With the application questions, the way those are created are by creating custom fields. And custom fields, you choose it to be as an application question, as something to track on a profile on the back end, as something to update in the volunteers portal over time, or a mix of these. But this is ultimately where we go to review, okay, what did Henry submit on the application? We'll review documents he uploaded, responses on the application. And as we're reviewing him to get him to be a part of the program, the qualifications is where we would mark, okay, which steps has Henry completed? All of these qualifications, these are customizable. You'll build these out as needed and define what they are, as these are your requirements to be part of your program. A common example for many is a background check. So you'll make a qualification, call it a background check, and then you can add an expiration date if needed on here. So once Henry's completed this step, I'll go ahead and mark it as passed. And then there's other ones too, like relating to trainings. Maybe there's an orientation that needs to be completed. And so, these qualifications work like gatekeepers to volunteers signing up for shifts. So you're able to, in our software, it's called activities that they're signing up for. And a common approach to how organizations have it set up to be as seamlessly and as efficient as possible is volunteers are only able to sign up for activities, shifts from the activities in which they have the right qualifications for, which are defined on here, matched along the line of their profile, and matches along the line of the activities that you create too. And that's just a common way to set up. That way they'll have more power in their hands to self-schedule. And when we get to their portal, I'll walk through how seamless that would be for them. And while we're in here too, I'll just walk through the volunteer like profile, what we'll see with them on here. Like right now, Henry's an applicant, and when we move them along through the process, we can switch their status here, or even outside on the other menu as he's completed the steps. It's up to you for your organization to decide, okay, what does it take to move, what steps are needed to complete to move them from applicant to in process to accepted on here. All the interests, availability from the application form, these can be updated over time too within their portal. I'm not going to click in every tab. I'm just going to go through some ones I find really important. And this communications tab, here's where we can send an email if we're only communicating to Henry if needed and find a history. But what I really want to share here are note logs, as this gives us the ability to put any private notes that a volunteer will not be able to see. Only administrators with the access to the note logs would be able to find any notes on Henry here. And it's possible to search search and filter by pull me a list of volunteer profiles who have note logs containing these words to for any if you need to refer to any documentation there. Like I mentioned, I'm not going to click in every tab, but I want to lay out that assign, schedule, hours, reports. These are actually something the volunteer can do on their own end, but something that's really helpful too is as an administrator, if you need to help step in and assist them throughout the process, the assign tab is where we can assign volunteers to shifts or activities. Sometimes there might be an activity or a type of volunteer role where that's the only approach where it makes sense to. So there's a variety of ways this can function. Finding their schedule, which volunteers can get automated reminders of, hours for recording hours for them, reviewing their hours, making any edits if needed, reports for them. Kind of summarizes the volunteer portal there. Not volunteer portal profile. Here's all of our applicants again. So this is another way where we can move them along, like through the process, send them emails once they complete those steps. Gonna go back to the main dashboard to give you an overview on other areas on that status update there. So like I mentioned, once a volunteer becomes accepted, it doesn't mean they can sign up for every single shift. That's dependent on the qualifications they have and the activity if it allows for self-scheduling. You can always move a volunteer from one status to another and report on it. And then, yeah, archived are profiles you can have unlimited records of. And you can export their information if needed, report on it. And there's some other helpful alerts on here too that are bringing to your attention something timely. For example, a qualification that's expiring, like a background check. There's also some other things, as you can see on here, like we can see who's on the clock, pending signups, hours approvals. Whichever alert you click, it's going to pull a list of profiles that fall under the criteria. So like expiring qualifications, this is where we can help keep up to date the ever-going expiring background checks and trainings, rather than looking and cross-referencing a spreadsheet, I'm a click away of seeing, okay, which of my volunteers have something expiring in the next X amount of days, whatever it is, whatever you set it to. We have it set for 45 here. We can organize it by what the qualification is. So these are all CPR qualifications here. So I can quickly action one, many, all, and send a reminder email to our volunteers that they need to complete the CPR certification, in which you have an unlimited email template library to support your communications. It'll be personalized to everyone to say, hi, Bill, hi, Joe, Frank, Dave, CPR certificate is expired. You can add it. You can send an email from here, and it will go to everybody individually, automatically BCC'd, coming personally from the email you're using with your Better Impact account. All responses will fall in everybody's natural email inbox from there. Then a couple other ones on that status update there are birthdays and anniversaries. Just like we can be reminded of expiring qualifications, you can be reminded of upcoming birthdays and anniversaries. So you can quickly acknowledge somebody in our program, hey, happy birthday, via email or text. Same goes with anniversaries. What I would say is the most powerful tool that you have upon logging in are pinned searches. So these are specific custom searches that allow you to communicate or pull profiles within seconds to targeted profiles. So you're able to filter it to a certain criteria based on a field within their profile. Common example could be something related to onboarding, like reminding volunteers to complete steps like trainings, uploading, signing waivers. Could be used for shifts, activity related information. Maybe there was inclement weather and we need to cancel a shift, so we can shoot a quick text out to everyone. And these searches are unique to your login as well. So you're only seeing relevant searches, and you build these out as needed. So I can quickly see if anybody falls under the criteria on here. I'm just going back to this onboarding missing background check example. We have 4 people who are in the applicant stage. They're missing a background check. Let's quickly remind them in order to become a volunteer and move on to the next step. They need to complete a background check. So here we are again, using our email template library, which we have and then the email will go to everyone on here, Donna, Graham, Will, Henry. And once they respond and the background check's updated, we'll update that qualification within their profile. Wrapping up the main page on here, just know you can kind of choose what you want to see when you log in, like this admin news. You can, if you want to place it on here, you can. This built-in comparisons chart showing a summary of like our hours. You can choose if you want it here, place somewhere else, saved reports, badges, administrator badges. And then there's news as well coming from us, like new updates, feedback. And then you can quickly get to one area or page. Is any page you land on in the software, you can save it as a favorite. So that way you can get right to it rather than finding it like commonly for an hours report. Something I want to share is like our search criteria, because that's how we get these pinned searches built out. So I'll walk through an example of building a pinned search for communications. So we can click the megaphone, send email, or we can just go to right to our favorites, like how I mentioned here. And whether we're running a report, emailing to a group, we're able to filter it first by the status of the volunteer. So those, for the background check example, we checked, okay, they're in the applicant stage, and now let's add our search criteria relating to the fields within their profile, which it can be based on their contact info, a customization, like a custom field, if they have or have not uploaded a document, if it's shift related, if it was something recurring, a specific activity occurring this week, next week, specific date range. We're doing a qualification example. So let's look at qualifications. We'll select background check. Remember, these are all customizable. You built these out as needed. We'll say it's empty because it hasn't been completed. You can add and stack as many filters as you like. So that way it can be as targeted as needed, saving at the end so you don't have to go through those steps, pin it on your dashboard so you're a click away from it. And then here we are. We're we're with our volunteers needing to complete the background checks again. It's a quick example of that. Something else that's really important is for a lot of organization are hours too. So I'm just gonna jump right into some hours reports using a favorite to get there. So it's very easily done. We just, instead of calculating a bunch of hours, we just pull a date range of what's been recorded in the software for us to review, finding their names, number of hours, shift entries. And then our grand totals are all calculated for us at the bottom, the number of hours, number of volunteers, average hourly output per volunteer, and it's all readily exportable into several formats. So PDF, Word, Excel, and then we can target by a specific group if needed as well. So here we are. It's the same process, just like searching through an email group. So we already know how to do it. We're just drilling it down by the type of status. And then within the criterion here, we'll just say we want to pull hours for a specific like activity. So we'll pull it for a specific time, info booth attendant volunteer hours. We can do a specific date range, or it's a templated date range. And any specific like group, we can save this as well. So you'll have a drop down of saved reports that you can refer to rather than going through that process again. And then here are all the info booth volunteer attendant hours with the grand totals at the bottom, readily exportable as well. So I see there's a question in the chat. I'll address them all at the Q&A, but since this one's relating to hours on here, I'll let you know that the hours, they can calculate based on like when they're signed up for, because you can automatically record hours provided that there's a shift for that. So that way the volunteers won't need to record hours for it. Once they sign up and they're confirmed on the shift, the system will automatically record those hours for them. There's also they can log hours after the fact if needed, or use a time clock as well to punch in and punch out on site. And that's actually one of the alerts on our dashboard. Like if you're having volunteers clock in and clock out on site or through their smartphone app, as soon as we log in, we can see which volunteers are on the clock and review their and review who they are. Like I'll say their name, we can access their profile. We can always make edits to their time adjustments if needed, provided like let's say they forget to clock out or something like that. And then the way how the volunteer accesses the time clock is they're able to they'll either use their same username and password for logging when they log into their portal, or there's a QR code that they can use to scan and sign them in where they select the activity they're clocking in for, and then they'll scan their QR code again or log in to clock out from there. All right. Hopefully everybody's hanging in there so far. I know this is a lot of info on here. Just another reminder too. So after this webinar, they'll receive an email for a full comprehensive demonstration as well. I won't be able to walk through everything. One other thing I really want to share though is the calendaring of it all, if that's even a word. So when volunteers are signing up for activities or being assigned to them, we can pull a visual calendar to see where our gaps are. And right now, I don't have it filtered to a specific activity. We can as well. So those who know what a category is. So the structure is volunteers sign up for activities that you customize. You set what you set if there's shifts for it, what the qualifications are, requirements. And then they can be grouped under categories for filtering and reporting purposes. This calendar here, so I and the red, it's color coded in a way, so I know where my gaps are. So red means we need more volunteers. Blue means we're all confirmed. So if we look at Monday the 3rd, there's a little red in here because there's a couple of shifts that need more volunteers, and it has it all broken down in here. You can drill down by the day on here if you're using this visual calendar. So the red info booth attendant, it's red because the minimum amount of number of volunteers that we set to sign up for is 2, and there's only 1 confirmed. So our magic number is 1. This is kind of like a game here. We're trying to convert all of our red colors blue so that way we know we have the volunteers we need, and we can filter and find volunteers through this calendar, set default filters like, hey, they must have the qualifications we define. They must have this status. Maybe there's no overlapping assignment or anything. Drilling down by their availability, their interest. I'm just going to search here so we can pull some profiles on here. And then here are possible matches. And then from here, it's up for us to decide how we want to go forward with this. Like we can communicate with all or selected to let them know there's a sign up available in their portal, or we can assign on the back end. And with any of these, we can access their profiles on here, like Daniel and such. Then I want to save some time for the volunteers portal. So I'm going to jump to that right now. Again, it's going to be branded to your organization when they log in. And remember, there's an app for this too. So browser, app version, Apple or Android. First thing I sign in as a volunteer, I'm going to see what I need to see. Summary of my hours, my upcoming shifts, and even some virtual badges on here. This is a really fun way a lot of organizations like using our software to recognize volunteers. As soon as I log in, I see what my achievements are, like hitting a certain number of hours. It could be years based or skill based on here. You're able to upload these images and then you associate it with the qualifications. So once Veronica here, the volunteer, has it, poof, I have the badge for it. Socials, Facebook, X, documents for me to access at my fingertips. This is our document library. This news section is very commonly used for newsletters, so you can place in content on here so I can see any important news for the month. So you can drop links on here. And then for my upcoming shifts, so I can sync this to my personal calendar too, such as Google, iCal, Outlook calendar. So that way I know from those sources when my next shift is. In my contact info tab, I can also subscribe to weekly email reminders too. So that way every Saturday I'll receive an email for what my shifts are for the next 2 weeks. This portal, our goal is to keep it as simplistic as possible. We understand when working with the community, you meet a lot of great people. There's a whole lot of diversity, and many may not be so up to date technologically wise. However, if someone has a smartphone and they have apps, it's very likely they're going to find this portal simplistic because there's not a whole lot to it. There's just enough for them to do things self-sufficiently to take a lot of administrative load off of you, like the scheduling aspect. If I want to sign up for a shift, I can go to the opportunities tab here in a list or calendar format. Doing the calendar format here, I can filter it by a category. And remember, me on the volunteer, I'm only seeing shifts that I have the requirements for, the qualifications. That's how it's most commonly set up. I'll select a shift to sign up for tomorrow, 1:30. You can place images on here, links. The description can be as long as needed. I can see if there's other people scheduled. Should we turn that feature on? And then the volunteer, if they want to, they can mark themselves anonymous or display their name. And then I can sign up right here, and it's that simple. And as soon as I sign up as a volunteer, I can either be like automatically scheduled or admin approval. Each activity can have its own sets and rules to meet your needs there. The scheduling tab is where I can refer to my schedule, but a common way to come in here is to see, it's like to pull a visual calendar of, hey, what's my volunteering? You can change the date range, export it out. put it outside on my refrigerator or something like that. Then going through the hours tab, remember there's a time clock format that you can use as well. I'm just walking through login hours after the fact. There's also automatically login hours. One of the benefits to either using the time clock, clocking in or clocking out, or after the fact, like so here, is you can capture other data to report on because you can create customizable, reportable questions called feedback fields where you can inquire and ask qualitative or quantitative questions, use drop downs. So then once I'm recording my hours, you're also capturing other impact measures. So that way you can evaluate how your program's doing, what's going really what's going really well, where can some enhancements be as well to get you a better idea. And then this is great for self-tracking too. So me as a volunteer, my reports tab is where I can quickly find my hours. I don't have to reach out to you at all. I can log in, log in my portal, see a summary of my hours, and then pull a date range on here. Last year, specific date range. Okay, here's what I did in 2024. All of my shifts, all of my hours, all of my totals calculated, and I can save it outside my computer. The last thing I'll share in the volunteers portal, it's a feature that really sticks out. It's our training modules. It's possible to place trainings on here, so that way a volunteer can watch a video, take a training, and these trainings can be linked with qualifications. So if you remember when we were looking at Henry's profile, there was an orientation training. A common approach would be to make an orientation video on here that they have to watch, where they'll be quizzed in it in multiple choice format. It can be images, GIFs, you can embed PowerPoints or a simple link to a YouTube video or something like that. Once I review the content, I'll answer the questions. You set what the questions are, what the pass rate is. And then once I pass the quiz, my orientation qualification will be automatically updated once I pass it. And there's some organizations that are creative on using trainings to unlock shifts. Like a common example would be for like an animal shelter. There's dog walking trainings. Watched a video for dog walking, pass the quiz. Now I can sign up for dog walking shifts. Can work in a whole variety of ways. And then lastly, just so you know, volunteers, they'll be able to reach out to you if they have any questions on anything in the contact tab. They can even reach out to their peers if you group the volunteers in committees, and people will be able to communicate email wise. And then there's a site guide too, walking them through help articles and videos for each step of the portal, updating their own contact information or other custom field information, such as uploading new documents, updating new information. That kind of wraps it up there for a quick demo there. Like I said, there will be a comprehensive demo that I'll share after this meeting. The next thing I want to share are on the next slide, there's some testimonials from our customers. So we'll do that next, and then we'll get to the Q&A.
So why did I select this product? It integrated with my background check product. I can tell you that the sales and customer support people are outstanding. Direct contact with a person that's talking me through all of the steps, doing training for us and my whole team. And inside the product is so much help. 24/7, you can chat with a person who's really a person. At 3 o'clock in the morning when we were first converting, I was talking, I was playing, I was trying to figure out something. I hopped onto the chat and I was thinking, there's nobody going to be around at 3 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. And lo and behold, within a couple minutes, I was talking to a guy who was on the other side of the globe, who was answering all of my questions for me. It is fun and kind, and I don't ever feel stupid. So I can't say enough about the customer support and the sales part.
Yeah, it was value for money and on budget for what we wanted. Easy to implement. We had 300 volunteers already on the books. So we were able to extract the information into a spreadsheet, and then they took it away and uploaded all the information in the right place, gave the usernames and the passwords so that we could then write out to the volunteers with. Better Impact is I call it a cradle to grave. It's an application right the way through a volunteering journey. So once they do their application form, they're already setting up their volunteer page. But the team were very, very supportive, as I said already, very, very supportive.
Why did we go with volunteer impact? Because there were a few other options out there for us. It's definitely an affordable management system. It was something, it actually cost us less to move towards Better Impact than it was with our former system. There were a lot of volunteer-centered features, allowing the volunteers to own their own experience. And that was something that we saw right off the bat. We had heard of some great features like self-scheduling, and how volunteers can go in and update and change their own addresses, schedule time off for vacations. So these were things that were definitely selling points for us. My impact page gives the volunteers the opportunity to absolutely own their experience with us. Everything that they need is at their fingertips. If they need extra resources or easy ways to communicate with us, it's all there through that.
I've been using Better Impact since about 2016, 2017, and I absolutely love it. My favorite part of the system, and it's really hard to actually just come up with one thing, but I would certainly focus on the personal profile reporting. You can fully customize it to get as much data as you need, as much information as you need, or as little as you need in that one report. It's incredible.
All right. Hopefully everybody found that helpful from our customers. Yeah, something that you may hear from the other peers who have used us or if you checked out our reviews is our level of support. Through the chat, you'll get a response time within 3 minutes during the Monday through Friday hours. And it's not only about the speediness of the replies, but it's also the quality too, because pretty much everybody on our team has volunteer management background experience, which really helps the communication. And then just so you know a little more about our company, Better Impact started by Fluke. Our founder, Tony, had a passion project building a web-based volunteer management software solution for a residential hospice he founded. And that gave birth to the global beginnings of a We're Here to Help company. We're almost 25 years now. We're all over, not only in North America, but also Australia, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Yeah, we specialize in volunteer management software. I appreciate your time, everybody. Thank you so much for your participation. Enjoy your day.